Welcome back to Capitol Conservatives. Today we're diving into an explosive exchange on Capitol Hill. Senator Kennedy went straight at Representative Raskin on the future of the Federal Reserve. This wasn't your usual polite hearing. Kennedy wasn't holding back. And Raskin had to defend his controversial statements on oil and gas, capital allocation, and the role of the Fed. You do not want to miss this breakdown. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss critical updates from Capitol Hill. May 2020. En May 2020. The world economy is melting down from pandemic shutdowns. The government scrambles with bailouts and stimulus, what Senator Kennedy calls duct tape and spit. Kennedy reminds the Fed to stay apolitical, warning, only dead fish go with the flow. This sparks a fiery debate over changing the Fed's mission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Jefferson, Dr. Cook, I may not get to ask you many questions today because I want to concentrate on Ms. Raskin's proposal to change the mission of the Federal Reserve. But I've read about both of you. Clear to me, we disagree on some things in terms of our politics, but in America, you can believe what you want. That's why it's such a great country. Dr. Jefferson, I believe you're at Davidson. You're a professor there? Yeah, there's no better place in America. Get a liberal arts education. Dr. Cook, you are a Truman Scholar and you were a Marshall Scholar. You were at St. Hilda's? Okay. You ever met a Marshall Scholar that was a dummy?
No, Senator.
Me neither. The only advice for what it was worth, for what it's worth that I have for each of you is, number one, please don't change the mission of the Federal Reserve. Please don't let it be politicized. And number two, don't get caught up in the group think over there, okay? Only dead fish go with the flow. Don't get caught up in the group think.
Kennedy goes right for the jugular, reading from a 2020 op-ed where Raskin suggested the Fed let oil and gas companies fail. He asks point blank, "Did you really mean that?" Raskin clarifies, saying the Fed shouldn't pick winners and losers. Kennedy's style is direct and relentless. He won't let vague answers slide.
Now, Raskin, May of 2020, world economy is melting down because government shut it down. We're trying to hold it together with baling wire, duct tape, spit, and happy thoughts. And you say, that's great. We ought to let oil and gas companies go broke. Did you really mean that?
Well, thank you, Senator Kennedy.
You're welcome.
For that question. And the Federal Reserve has particular mandates set out by law.
But I know about all that, but did you mean it? You said it, here it is, big as Dallas. I read the op-ed.
Next up, the capital allocation debate. Kennedy confronts Raskin, arguing the Fed shouldn't pick which industries succeed or fail. He compares it to the Fed refusing to fund charter schools, just like oil and gas. Kennedy warns, politicizing the Fed is dangerous for every taxpayer. Subscribe to Capitol Conservatives for more insider breakdowns.
You said, save everybody but the oil and gas industry and let them go broke. Did you really mean that?
So I have been clear on my views. The whole point of the op-ed was that the Fed should not pick winners and losers.
Except for oil and gas. You said they ought to be allowed to go broke.
The Fed should not or favor any sector at all.
Then why did you say that?
The Fed is not in the business of choosing winners and losers.
Then why did you recommend to them that they let oil and gas go broke?
I did not recommend.
Yes, ma'am, I read the op-ed. There it is. I'm not going to quote it to you, but Senator Toomey pointed out. Why did you mean it?
Senator Kennedy, I want you to understand the role of the proper role of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve should not be choosing winners and losers.
Yes, ma'am. So you disagree with the editorial?
The editorial was one that I wrote, and I wrote it in the context of the Federal Reserve's emergency lending facilities. This was a special program set up by the CARES Act, by the Congress, that appropriated taxpayer money. This was an issue quite unlike the issue of supervision
and you said don't give the money to oil and gas. Don't go broke, because in my opinion, they're bad for the environment. Didn't you?
I want you to understand the context for that article. That article had to do and did not have to do with supervision and regulation.
Raskin, you said it. You ought to own it. Okay, you ought to own it.
Sorry?
You said it. You ought to own what you said. I'd respect you more if you did.
Raskin insists he never meant to pick winners and losers, but Kennedy presses on, dissecting every word of his op-eds. Kennedy's point is consistent. The Federal Reserve must remain independent, free from political interference. He challenges Raskin repeatedly, really making the point that rhetoric matters. What you write in an editorial can influence policy expectations, markets, and taxpayer exposure. Kennedy's persistence here highlights why many conservatives worry about proposed changes to the Fed's mission.
Let me move on to this business of allocating capital. Now, look, this is America. You can believe what you want, and I mean that. But I don't agree with your mission to politicize the Federal Reserve.
I don't believe the Federal Reserve should be politicized either.
Well, then why did you say it? Why did you say in this June 2020 piece, quote, federal regulatory bodies should allocate capital?
It is not the role of the Federal Reserve in supervisory or regulatory matters in its functioning as...
Then why did you write it?
It was written in a context, Senator, had to do with emergency lending. It did not have to do with the context of supervision and regulation.
I feel strongly about charter schools, okay? Some president or some chairman of the Federal Reserve said, let's all get together and allocate capital away, lean on all the banks so they don't fund charter schools. You support that? I mean, you support having oil and gas industry into bankruptcy. Do you think that would be the proper role for the Federal Reserve?
No. Obviously not. The Federal Reserve is not to get involved in allocating credit to any particular sector.
So you changed your mind?
I have made myself completely clear. The whole point of the op-ed is that the Fed should not pick winners and losers or expose taxpayers unduly.
Senator Kennedy, your time's expired.
Well, no, you went 3 minutes over.
I did, and so did Senator Toomey, but we need this hearing done by 11 o'clock.
Well, can I ask one more?
No, you've already gone 2 minutes over. Senator Warner.
Kennedy stands firm for a neutral, independent Federal Reserve, while Raskin struggles to justify his past statements. This debate shapes the future of American financial policy. Should the Fed stay independent or allow political guidance? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more